5 triceps exercises you should never do after 40. The triceps account for 2/3 of your arm volume. You probably already know that. Having this muscle well developed is essential for an arm that fills out your sleeves and impresses. However, few people know that triceps exercises are also among the main causes of elbow injuries, especially after 40. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research showed that 67% of elbow injuries in weightlifters over 40 were directly related to specific triceps exercises. The problem is that many of those ready-made gym programs, the ones your trainer hands you to get rid of you quickly, are full of these potential elbow injury causes. Today, you will see 5 popular triceps exercises that you should never do and the best substitutes for them, both in terms of safety and muscle activation. Before we start, tell me in the comments your name and how long you have been training. Exercise number 1, dumbbell skull crushers. The dumbbell skull crusher is a classic in gyms. It is that exercise where you hold the dumbbell above your head with both hands and lower it by bending your elbows, keeping your arms close to your ears. Do not misunderstand. In terms of activation, it really is very good, but it can seriously hurt your elbow. When we talk about exercises for people over 40, we consider 3 main aspects: injury risk, execution difficulty, and muscle activation. And it is in the first aspect that this exercise fails dramatically. The main problem lies in the mechanics of the elbow joint when placed under tension in this specific position. When taking the weight behind the head, we create an angle where the elbow becomes extremely vulnerable, especially if you already have any joint wear, common after 40. Research from the University of Pittsburgh demonstrated that this movement puts up to 3.7 times more pressure on the elbow joint compared to other triceps exercises. This overload can trigger or worsen conditions such as lateral epicondylitis or even bursitis. Another problem is the natural tendency to move the elbows outward when the weight becomes challenging. This completely changes the biomechanics of the movement, reducing effectiveness in the triceps and further increasing stress on ligaments and tendons already weakened by age. The risk becomes even greater when we consider that many practitioners, especially men, tend to use excessive loads in this exercise to impress or by overestimating their capacity. The result? Micro-injuries that accumulate and eventually evolve into more serious injuries that can take you out of training for weeks or even months. Exercise number 2, pullover. Now you might be wondering, wait, isn't the pullover an exercise for chest and back? Well, indeed, that is the popular perception. However, what else can we use to say that a particular exercise works a particular muscle? Exactly, electromyography studies, that is, the amount of electrical impulses that leave your brain and reach the muscle. And electromyography studies showed that triceps activation in the pullover is superior to chest or back activation, showing chest activation at 78%, lats at 76%, and triceps activation at 85%. This technically makes it a triceps exercise, although most people use it for other muscle groups. The problem lies precisely in this confusion of objectives. When we perform the pullover thinking about working chest or back, the mechanics we adopt do not prioritize triceps safety, especially the long head that crosses the shoulder joint. For people over 40, the pullover presents significant risks. First, the extended position puts excessive tension on the shoulder capsule, a structure that naturally loses elasticity with age. Second, the exaggerated amplitude can compromise the integrity of the rotator cuff, an area already prone to injuries with advancing age. In addition, the pullover forces a position where the triceps is stretched to the maximum while working under tension. This combination is particularly problematic for more mature joints, potentially resulting in tendinitis or even partial ruptures of the triceps tendon. Another critical point is the difficulty in maintaining lumbar stability during the exercise. The natural tendency is to arch the spine to achieve more amplitude, which transfers stress to the lumbar region, another area that is frequently problematic after 40. What makes this exercise even more dangerous is that pain usually does not appear immediately, but rather after weeks of accumulated microtrauma, when the problem is already established. Exercise number 3, triceps dips. Triceps dips are revered by many as the king of triceps exercises, and rightly so when we talk only about muscle activation. This exercise is very good in terms of activation. However, it is also very effective in hurting the shoulder, especially after 40. In fact, some people cannot even do it, as they do not have good joint capacity to perform this movement more safely. This is one of those exercises that seems to separate the strong from the weak in the gym, creating social pressure that leads many to perform it even when feeling discomfort. The main problem lies in the extreme biomechanics imposed on the shoulder joint. When we descend on the parallel bars, especially if we lean the trunk forward to focus on the triceps, we create an angle where the shoulder is forced into internal rotation under load, exactly the type of movement that frequently leads to impacts on the rotator cuff. For people over 40, this risk is multiplied. The natural elasticity of tendons decreases, recovery capacity is reduced, and any previous injury in the region becomes an even more susceptible weak point. Another concerning aspect is the difficulty in controlling the depth of movement. The tendency is to descend beyond the point where the shoulder joint remains protected, especially when fatigue begins to appear in the final sets. The effort is also concentrated on the distal triceps, near the insertion at the elbow, a common area of tendinitis in older people. This combination of factors makes triceps dips an exercise that, despite being efficient, carries a disproportionate risk for those over 40. Exercise number 4, diamond push-ups. The diamond push-up, where you position your hands close together forming a diamond or triangle, is often recommended as an excellent option for triceps without equipment. However, this exercise presents significant problems, especially for practitioners over 40. One of the main problems with diamond push-ups is the forced position of the wrists. The excessive internal rotation creates disproportionate tension in the wrist ligaments and carpal tunnel. After 40, when connective tissues no longer have the same elasticity, this pressure can trigger or aggravate problems such as carpal tunnel syndrome or tenosynovitis. Additionally, the proximity of the hands forces an internal rotation of the shoulders in an unstable position. Studies from the University of Michigan demonstrated that this configuration increases pressure on the glenohumeral joint by 64% compared to traditional push-ups. For people with a history of shoulder problems, common after 40, this is an unnecessary risk. Another frequently ignored aspect is the difficulty in maintaining proper form. The unstable position causes the body to compensate, usually by arching the lower back or raising the hips, which distributes the load to regions not prepared to receive it. The biggest problem, however, is the disproportionate overload on the elbow. The extreme angulation during the eccentric phase places significant stress precisely on the joint that tends to be problematic for older practitioners. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of weightlifting. Exercise number 5, Scott triceps. The Scott triceps, performed on the Scott bench traditionally used for biceps, is a less popular exercise in most gyms, but many people like it when they discover it. However, it requires a very high need for stabilization that few can execute correctly, especially after 40. Those who have had the opportunity to do it know that it is easier to feel the abs working than the triceps itself, all due to the difficulty of stabilization. This happens because your body needs to create a tension chain to maintain the correct posture during the movement, resulting in excessive recruitment of muscles that should only provide support. The fundamental problem lies in the position of the shoulder during execution. The Scott bench forces a position where the shoulder is in internal rotation and horizontal adduction simultaneously, creating a potential impact point on the internal structures of the joint. This positioning is particularly problematic for people over 40, when natural wear already reduces tolerance to extreme positions. Another critical aspect is the stress placed on the distal triceps tendon, near its insertion at the elbow. In this position, the tendon works at an unfavorable angle, increasing the risk of chronic inflammations such as tendinitis. The lack of stability also compromises the quality of contraction. When the body needs to focus so much on staying stable, the mind-muscle connection with the triceps is impaired, reducing the main benefit of the exercise. Certainly when it comes to triceps, there are much better movements to be done, especially if you have already passed 40 and need to prioritize longevity and joint health without compromising results. Now that we know the 5 exercises you should avoid, let us see the best alternatives to replace them with safety and efficiency. Substitute exercise number 1, cable overhead triceps extension. The cable overhead triceps extension is the perfect alternative to replace the dumbbell skull crusher. This exercise offers constant cable tension, with the benefit of drastically reducing the risk of injury, making it ideal for practitioners over 40. The fundamental difference is in the direction of resistance. While the dumbbell pulls down due to gravity, the cable pulls forward, creating an angle that significantly reduces stress on the elbow joint. This simple change decreases joint pressure by up to 65%, according to studies from the University of Cincinnati. To execute correctly, position yourself with your back to the high pulley, hold the rope or bar with your hands, and position your elbows next to your head. The movement consists of fully extending your forearms while keeping your elbows fixed, and then returning in a controlled manner to the starting position. A common mistake is to move the elbows away during the movement. This not only reduces triceps activation, but transfers tension to the shoulders, potentially creating new problems. Keep your elbows pointed upward and close to your head throughout the execution. Another benefit of the pulley is the constant tension throughout the entire range of motion. Unlike the dumbbell, which has points of greater and lesser tension, the cable keeps the triceps under continuous stimulation, maximizing muscle fiber recruitment. Substitute exercise number 2, cable triceps pushdown with rope. The pullover is a dispensable exercise for triceps training, especially considering the risks it presents for those who have passed 40. If you want to fit something in its place, the cable triceps pushdown with rope is perfect because it is literally one of the best triceps exercises you can do. This exercise does not hurt the elbow and has a controlled instability because of the rope that makes the muscular work very significant. The great advantage is that it also works the triceps in active insufficiency, a condition where the muscle is stimulated at different lengths simultaneously, maximizing fiber recruitment. To execute correctly, position yourself in front of the high pulley, hold the ends of the rope with your hands in pronation. Keep your elbows fixed next to your trunk and extend your forearms, separating the ends of the rope to the sides at the end of the movement for an additional contraction. A common mistake is moving the elbows forward and backward during execution. This drastically reduces triceps activation and can overload the shoulders. Imagine that your elbows are glued to your body with superglue. They must remain absolutely still. Another important aspect is the range of motion. Many interrupt the eccentric phase too early, losing part of the stimulus. Allow your hands to rise until they almost touch the pulley, maintaining constant tension in the triceps. Substitute exercise number 3, seated triceps machine. This exercise is the ideal substitute for triceps dips. It provides much greater comfort, making a similar movement, allowing better control of the load and movement, making the risk of injury significantly lower. The seated triceps machine reproduces the mechanics of dips, but eliminates stabilization problems and excess pressure on the joints. The back support and guided movement reduce stress on shoulders and elbows, particularly vulnerable areas after 40. To execute correctly, adjust the seat so that your elbows align with the machine's joints. Hold the handles with your hands, and fully extend your arms without locking your elbows. Slowly return to the starting position, maintaining control throughout the movement. A frequent error is not adjusting the machine correctly. Each person has different body proportions, and proper adjustment is essential to ensure that the movement trajectory respects your individual biomechanics. If you feel discomfort in your shoulders or wrists, readjust the position or height of the seat. Another important aspect is controlling the execution speed. Many accelerate the concentric phase and let the weight fall in the eccentric phase. To maximize results, rise in 1 to 2 seconds and descend in 2 to 3 seconds, maintaining constant tension in the triceps. The machine also allows you to work with higher training volume without the risk of technical failures that occur on the parallel bars when fatigue sets in. This is particularly valuable for older practitioners who benefit from moderate to high volumes with controlled intensity. Substitute exercise number 4, close grip bench press. The close grip bench press is the perfect substitute for the diamond push-up, presenting a similar principle but with significant advantages for those who have passed 40. It is an exercise that very few people do, after all. Most use the traditional grip bench press, focusing on the pectoral. However, if we compare it to the diamond push-up, we will see that you can use more load, adapt it precisely to your needs, and, the main thing, it is the only, I repeat, the only exercise scientifically proven to be capable of activating the distal triceps, that part of your triceps that looks like a horseshoe. That is, when we find that there is a part of the triceps that only one exercise can really activate, it needs to be in your workout, especially if you seek complete and proportional arms. To execute correctly, lie on the bench press bench and hold the bar with your hands apart at approximately the width of your shoulders, much closer than in conventional bench press, but not as close as in the diamond push-up. Lower the bar in a controlled manner until it touches the middle of your chest and push back to the starting position, focusing on extending your elbows. A common mistake is bringing the hands too close together, imitating the position of the diamond push-up. This puts excessive stress on the wrists and shoulders. The ideal grip is one that allows you to keep your forearms perpendicular to the floor throughout the movement, usually with hands separated by shoulder width. Another crucial aspect is keeping the elbows close to the body throughout the movement. Open elbows transform the exercise into a pectoral movement, drastically reducing triceps activation. Imagine that you are trying to tear the bar in half throughout the movement to maintain proper tension. We have seen today that choosing the right triceps exercises after 40 is not just a matter of efficiency, but mainly of health and longevity in training. The substitutes we presented not only drastically reduce the risk of injuries, but also provide equal or superior stimuli for muscle development. Remember that intelligent training beats intense training when we think long-term. By adapting your exercises, you can continue progressing and building strong and defined arms for many years, without the forced pauses caused by injuries. If you liked this and also want to discover the 7 main mistakes that most people make without even realizing in triceps training, and that unfortunately throw half the effort in the trash, we have left a video appearing right now on the screen showing each one of them better. Do not miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.